Peaceful protests will never be enough. I'm not talking about Democrats gaining power. I'm not talking about Donald Trump getting impeached, about his administration being prosecuted for their crimes. I'm not talking about any future success of any party. The dissolution of the Republican Party, the rise of a third party of some significance, the Working Families Party, the DSA breaking off, the Green Party becoming a thing, Libertarians getting a party. I'm not talking about that. Peaceful protest will never be enough for me, for the people of this nation who have witnessed what has gone on for the last, now it's been a year and 3 months, plus the 2 months after the election that we were watching shit. I was praying something would happen, and it didn't, because a nation of 300 million people, there was no one, well, there were some. There were some brave enough to actually stand up to fascism. Not enough. After we've seen ICE grab people off the streets, after we've seen footage of people being abducted, we've seen our police, our courts, and concentration camps be built. We've seen our police and courts used against people in destroying their lives. We've seen the mass surveillance erected across the entire country. Peaceful protest will never be enough. Whatever it would take to bring this world back to some semblance of tolerance, of tolerability, of being tolerable, peaceful protest will not be it. I do need to see violence. Well, I see violence. I see violence around. I don't want to see violence. Knowing that there is violence, I need to see counter-violence. I need to know that the nation that I live in, if I were to be grabbed off the streets, if I were to be pinned against a wall and raped, I need to know that someone might be willing to save me. And at the very, very least, I would want to know that someone in the country would have the courage to stand up for people who are in that position. How can we live our lives knowing that we can get abducted off the streets, we can get kidnapped, we can get grabbed in broad daylight, surrounded by 50 people, and it would just happen, and no one would try to save us? There were some people who tried to save others in this country, and they're dead now. I'm not saying that my life is inherently more valuable than the people around me and that they should sacrifice themselves for my safety and comfort. I don't believe that. I wouldn't want to live in a world where that would have to be, where death is inevitable in those situations, where you just have to let someone kill you, or you have to let someone kill you have to let the person that you're watching get killed, you have to let them get killed, you just have to let it happen. And that anything you do is just delaying their killing and adding you to... I can't stand that. The idea that you just have to watch. And the people did watch. They watched Renee Good die. The ICE agents, nothing happened to them. They watched Peretti die. ICE agents, nothing happened to them. That's what I took away from those clips. You know, not just that ICE agents kill people, but that the people around. Because there were people around who saw it. And no one fought back. I used to actually think the Second Amendment had some ability to save us. I don't have faith in anything anymore. I don't even know why I keep living. Nothing's going to change what I've seen. Nothing's going to change the dynamics here. Nothing's going to change the course that we're on. It's unbearable. I don't know what the people around me. I can't recognize them. I can't recognize the world that I thought I had. I can't recognize the supports. I mean, the implied supports, you know, the networks that I thought would exist. I assume that if there were terrorists in our streets, people would do something about it, beyond just marching. Peaceful protests will never be enough if we have terrorists in our streets. And while I say that, you know, I understand that here I am, very close to DC. If something's gonna happen, you know, I could be that person, but I'm not. Here I am pressing shift right, left, shift right, shift left, shift left, right, shift left, shift right, shift left, shift right, shift left. I get that. Bystander effect. Terror. I just wish the 50-51 liberals wouldn't so openly proclaim as if they're proud that they are under the bystander effect. We're gonna be fully peaceful. We're not going to do anything violent. We're not gonna take the bait. The whole notion that ICE is trying to bait us into fighting back is ridiculous. And I think, honestly, I honestly suspect, here's my conspiracy theory, I suspect that is a belief that was implanted by counter-terrorist operatives in this country. Not counter-terrorists against the terrorists in our streets, but counter-terrorists supporting the terrorists in our streets. Counter-resistance, I guess is what I should call them. Counter-resistance operatives have put that in place. I can't stand the 50-51 liberals, the No King's Day. I can't fucking stand them. Just because of that attitude they had. Oh my god, I can't use Blue Sky. I couldn't. I can't even look at anything on this site. It sickens me. And to the people that are going to call this extreme, I get that, you know, I know I have people who think I'm extreme. Imagine for a second that this was you, right? Especially for those that aren't in the USA. Imagine for a second that someone, a terrorist group, was occupying your city, shooting children, abducting and shooting children, yes. Abducting children and raping them. Shooting women and men, abducting women and men, and raping them. And then you had a massive, peaceful march saying, we will not, you know, where the people in charge were saying, we're not going to do anything physical to the rapist gang. We're not going to do anything physical to stop them. And then chanting a whole bunch of, like, 3%, if 3% of the town get together, we're all going to stop the mafia. It's ridiculous. You know how the mafia was stopped? Killed them. Killed the operatives. Because they were threatening to kill other people. You know how you stop terrorists? Kill them. What did we do to Osama bin Laden? What did the USA do? 50-51, were the 50-51 liberals gonna take to the streets and 3% march against Osama bin Laden? No! We bombed the fuck out of him. For one event that hit our financial sector. Because you know that the government of the United States of America would not care if 2,000 people died. Except they hit the towers. That's what fucking mattered. And the Pentagon. And hijacked our planes. And it's really because they wanted everyone to be angry about that forever so that they'd support infinite war in the Middle East. That's the real reason. That's the real reason. Look, I grew up near the site of terrible terrorist attacks. And there was nobody with any platform who was saying that we should be peaceful in how we respond to those. Did anyone, with the Columbine shooting, did anyone say that we should be peaceful? I mean, the shooters were dead in that case. Do you think if the shooters were in jail after the Columbine shooting, after they kill, and they terrorize an entire high school, they kill, you know, however many, 50, 100 children, teenagers, do you think anyone with any platform was saying we should let the Columbine shooters go? No! No one was saying that. No one was saying we should let the Columbine shooters go. Now, they didn't have to because the Columbine shooters killed themselves. But I think the Columbine shooters killed themselves because they knew, and I think they were right in this position, that they wouldn't be let out of prison ever for the rest of their lives, and they'd probably be getting the death penalty. Although death row is like its whole own torture. That's what pissed me off so much about the 50-51 liberals. I see them on the same tier as the, like, enlightened centrist folks online that are like, both sides are bad. Everyone should just stop. You know, both sides are being annoying. Both sides are equally bad. In regards to, like, anti-fascists and fascists. Oh, everything's so political. Because there's terrorists. And yes, they are raiding high schools. So whatever the Columbine parallel would be, they're raiding high schools. It's every way. It's just like, it's a whole Columbine, except all the people who involved get to walk off and be in broad daylight and exist and vibe. And what do we have to show for it? Calls for them to not be able to wear masks. Calls for them to have body cameras. Was the shooting of Renee Good that went viral, and the shooting of the other, like the killing of the other 34 people, all happened in broad daylight where everyone saw it. What would body cameras do? We have cameras everywhere. Body cameras were relevant when we didn't have the ability of seeing what police officers were doing. Nowadays, we get ICE terrorist attacks by 50 different cameras, and I'm saying, like, absolutely film it. If you have a phone, film what's going on. And I don't think that having body cameras is going to change anything. We already have cameras everywhere. You can't go... What did that one officer say in that one clip that went viral when they arrested some innocent mother claiming that she was involved in some random crime? Random porch piracy. What do they say? You can't get a breath of fresh air without us knowing. Do you think ICE can lynch 50 people? Or can lynch a single person without everyone having 50 different camera angles of it? No. Cameras aren't going to do shit. And peaceful protest. Yes, I do want to see. Call me an accelerationist. Call me whatever you want. Radical. I would want to see people with guns who go around killing people get shot. I would want to see people who are killing and raping other people. I want to see the killers and rapists get shot. Yes, I do. Or at least physically restrained. But if nothing's going to happen to hold them indefinitely for their crimes, then, you know, hold them and give them a trial or whatever, go through all that process. If that's not going to happen, then I want to see them shot, yes. And I want to see our billionaires shot, too, for the same reason. I think every ICE agent should be shot. Everyone. And y'all know that if I was flying around an ISIS flag, and I was getting in network with people that were doing actual terrorist attacks, that the police wouldn't hesitate to shoot my head. They wouldn't hesitate to blow my brains out on the floor, on the street, against a building. They would not hesitate. And do you think the 50-51 liberals would be screaming, "You should not be taking the bait of the bombing terrorists! You should not be taking the bait! Stop fighting back! Stop attacking them!" If we were to go shoot up a high school, do you think they'd be like, "Don't take the bait! Don't fight back! Everyone needs to get together peacefully!" Yeah, let's all gather in the assembly hall and tell the shooter no shooting. Like in Dora the Explorer, how they like we go like that. We gotta all get together, hold hands, and sing Kumbaya. And that's gonna stop the school shooting. Don't fight back, guys. Don't use a chair and hit the shooter over the head. That's taking the bait. That's fighting them back. That's giving the shooter what they want. No, the shooter wants to kill people. The shooters want to kill people. Do you think ICE agents are going out beating the fuck out of every person of color and what they deem to be an N-word lover that they find of the white populace? Do you think they're beating everyone up because they want to provoke anything back on them? No! If the ICE agents thought that by shooting a black person in the middle of the street that they were going to get shot themselves, they wouldn't do it. Because they're cowards. They're doing what they're doing for the last over a year now because they know that the people will not fight back. And they're trying to intimidate people into continuing to let them have this absolute power. The Columbine kids did not shoot up Columbine High School because they wanted to get shot. The Sandy Hook shooter, well, the Sandy Hook shooter is mentally ill. You know, that's a little different. Al-Qaeda, actually, I think Al-Qaeda did want to provoke U.S. overreach in the Middle East. Okay, the Columbine shooters were a good example. How about the recent shooters? There was a recent shooter that was inspired by all of the internet edgelords that, you know, infest the ecosystem that people including myself, have been saying are really shitty people and we should not be supporting them, but they get ushered in under the guise of, like, just being innocent, dumb content until, you know, they inspire mass shooters. So there was a shooting recently that it was a black man who was racist and disowned his black heritage because he believes that black people are inferior. And he cited in his manifesto all these internet edgelords that have been flooding out content. People who have like 1.2 million subscribers, cited by mass shooters. Anyways, that guy, you know, and all the other mass shooters that you hear of, they don't do their shootings because they want to get shot. They do their shootings because they want to hurt people. And shooting them faster would actually prevent their crimes from being as bad as they are. The way that the 5051 liberals talk about fucking ICE agents and the terrorism of this regime pisses me off to no end, because you cannot be that stupid. You cannot be that stupid. Oh, they kill people in broad daylight because they want to get shot. You really think that ICE Gestapo agent Ryan goes out because he wants to get shot? You think that man who beats his wife and kids goes out to beat black people because he wants to get shot? No, he does it because he likes to hurt people. He does it because he likes to kill people. And because he subscribes to the New Zealand shooter's great replacement theory. The New Zealand mosque shooter. Do you think that guy wanted to get shot? Do you think the terrorists on Bondi Beach in Australia wanted to get shot? No. Do you think they want... Are we yelling at the Muslim man who stopped the Bondi Beach shooters because he tackled mass shooters? Are we yelling at him and saying he shouldn't have fought back, don't take the bait? No, of course we're fucking not. Because that's stupid. And if people are dying and we let it happen because we don't want to give the shooters what they want, don't give them the attention they're looking for. I mean, that's how neoliberal shitlibs talk about bullies in school. That's why our public schools have no actual way to deal with bullying. Don't give the bully the attention. Sometimes they just want to be mean. Sometimes they just want to feel powerful. They don't need your reaction. Now, if you punch them in the nose, they're going to feel a lot different about their actions. Although with, you know, when we're dealing with lethal force, we respond with lethal force. When you have mass shooters occupying your streets, you fight back with guns. You don't fight back with slogans and signs. Look, if there's a protest this massive against Donald Trump in October, November, December, I wouldn't be angry at it. The fact that we have ICE agents terrorizing us, and all that this country can muster up is peaceful protests that scream, the people leading those peaceful protests also scream, and I mean like all caps, 15-line comments, I'm tired of seeing them on the internet, that we shouldn't fight back. It's infuriating. I can't. I don't know what to say. I don't know what else to say, other than it's incredibly tone deaf, and I think their plan is incredibly stupid. Because even if we get a Democrat supermajority in Congress, even if we get Donald Trump impeached, we have J.D. Vance as president, even if we get Gavin Newsom in 2028, hell, even if we get Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez as president in 2028, are you seriously telling me that solves the issue here? So we live in a world where everyone knows that terrorists can take over your streets, but there's a blue guy in office. That is the most blue MAGA position that you could ever have. Yes, ICE agents need to have their heads blown open. They do. Because what is the alternative we're presenting? What are we suggesting? What are we endorsing? What is the understanding of life in America? That terrorists can take over your streets at any time? And that they just get away with it? If a school shooter was able to be detained on house arrest, prohibited access to guns indefinitely, and otherwise was allowed to do whatever the fuck he wants. He could play video games, he can jerk off to pornography, he can order food to his house, he just can't leave his house, and he can't shoot anyone. Because he's never gonna have access to guns or bombs. And we know that with 100% certainty. Do you think the community would be satisfied with that being the answer? Let's say 25 teenagers are shot, 500 teenagers have life-altering trauma, and the person responsible is put on house arrest, forced to, in quotes, only, in quotes, play video games, and order food to his house, and, you know, maybe he works a job remotely, and he's never allowed to leave the house, and the people presenting the solution, suggesting this in the middle of town hall, are saying, this is how we show that we are the ones taking the high road, because they use violence, and we're not going to use violence. We're going to let the shooter live a life in peace and quiet. It's absurd. It would be absurd to suggest that. It would be absurd, and you would be screamed out of town hall, I hope. And then lose all social credibility for suggesting such a thing. When people are killed, the killers need to die. There needs to be retribution, not forgiveness. And I'm not going to take a bunch of platitudes of forgiveness about by like someone like Gavin Newsom or Hakeem Jeffries or fucking Chuck Schumer. There needs to be retribution. When you have the terror that I've lived through, you think I'm gonna let myself go from how I felt the last 15 months back into being like, oh yeah, let's just all hand wave about platitudes of democracy and say how great everything is in peace and how we want peace? No, I want fucking revenge. I've been feeling agony and terror for 15 months. I haven't slept well for 15 months. I want fucking revenge. I want to see billionaires get their head blown off on live TV. I want to see ICE agents lined up and executed. Frankly, I want to see some of these top figures, I want to see them tied up and burned. You think I'm going to take anything short of that after all of the pain that I've gone through for the last 15 months? I'm probably never going to have another good night of sleep again. That's why I make these videos, because I'm fucking angry. But no, we live in a world where it's like, it's socially acceptable to say you use X. We live in a world where it's just normal to use Amazon. Ring cameras, I'm proud of the people who destroyed theirs. All too many of them are still on the streets. I'm proud of the people who destroyed theirs. And so here I am, barely over 20, with life-altering CPTSD, life-altering trauma, been suffering with ADHD my whole life, can't do anything about that. And I live in a country where terrorists are allowed the right of way, and you'll have well over half this nation, I'd say over 3/4 of this nation, that will defend their right to terrorize us. Between the people that support them, and the people who insist that violence is never the answer, even in the face of other violence. I'm so angry. I'm so angry. And hurt. I don't want to live like this any longer. I wish, I don't know. At this point, I don't know what would be the right solution. It's going to involve the death of billionaires and the death of ICE agents. And I want the billionaires to get a spectacle when they get executed. Oh, but you're giving them the attention they want. I bet you Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and Peter Thiel do not want to be known for being executed live on the air. Make it like a whole fucking music video out of it. I don't think they want to be a part of the mid-fascism destruction halftime show. I don't think they want to be killed. In fact, I know these people, these billionaires, want to live forever because when people like Larry Ellison has supported one charitable cause in 2 different ways, and that is extending the life of specific individuals using medical treatments that are very expensive. In other words, he wants to live forever. You know, Mark Zuckerberg, and Elon Musk, these billionaires that are buying into this whole AI doomsday thing, they're talking about, when they talk about AI needing a good AI or a bad AI to run the world, they're talking about the Matrix when they upload their brains into a cyber world where they can live forever. And I know that sounds stupid and absurd, like you're thinking, like, Kelvar, have you lost your mind? No, I'm repeating what they think. They have lost their mind. They think they can live forever in a digital world, and they are concerned about how their Matrix is going to be run, assuming that they're going to have their brain uploaded to a Matrix. There's no Matrix entry for the common folks, right? We're all gonna die when the world gets superheated and floods. To which I also note, like, billionaires, if you're all in the Matrix, and all the humans on Earth are dead, and your brains are in the Matrix forever, eating bananas that feel like real bananas because they're made up of digital molecules that are the same as the real molecules, or whatever the hell these billionaires are talking about. And yes, it's like, that's some AI thing example that you can see the AI doomsday cult people talk about. I'm not going to get too much into that. So, these billionaires, if they're living on servers, like, what happens if an unprecedented seismic event happens and, like, the boat carrying their servers tips over? What happens there? I guess their whole matrix just shuts off. I don't know. These motherfuckers believe in simulation theory. They're about to make the simulation theory. All because they'd rather burn the world so they can live in the cyber world, hopefully in their minds forever. Why do we let our... The only reason we're letting ourselves be run by such incompetent, insufferable morons is because we've insisted that having money gives them a right of way. Like, at the end of the day, if America, if 99.9% of this country decided, if 80% of this country decided the billionaires don't deserve to exist, if 20% of this country decided that billionaires don't deserve to exist, if 3% of this country, want to use the 3.5% figure or whatever it is, 3.5% of this country decides that billionaires don't deserve to exist, and they're going to take concrete steps to change it, billionaires would be gone. The liberals get to the 3.5% figure, but then they don't actually do anything with it. They think that if 3.5% decide that something should happen, it's going to happen. No. If 3.5% decide they're going to do something, it will happen. If 3.5% of this nation decided that killing billionaires was a moral duty, the billionaires would be gone. Not because you could vote in people that would kill the billionaires as a campaign message. No, you couldn't do that with 3.5%. 3.5% taking tangible action because the working class runs this nation. We have the power. We have control over our bodies. Assuming that you don't just use ChatGPT to determine what you're going to do every day. You have control over your body. And you have the ability to, say, get armed, make bombs, blow up Palm Springs fertility clinic. Let's go, Jong-un! Let's go, Jong-un. Alright. Blow up, you blow up these billionaires' houses and their cum dumps, but also their homes where they're living. Blow up their yachts. Blow up their shoot up their mansions. Blow up their shooters' restaurants. Don't blow up the shooters' restaurant. Lauren Boebert is not significant enough to blow her up. Come on. Yeah, don't do anything against the shooter's restaurant. That is small, small property. There's no reason to do that. That's actually, honestly, that would just be a culture war. I don't want a culture war. I want a class war. No one in the shooter's restaurant is going to be a billionaire. I mean, have you seen what they think about fast food? They won't even take a bite of their own company's food. Alright, I think I made my point. Y'all have a great day. Let us all be soft on each other and hard on the system, and relentless against the billionaires, the ruling class.